Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and this is Smoked Chocolate Mousse. We're back today with another dessert recipe for you guys, one I'm really excited about. This is a real special occasion dessert, this smoked chocolate mousse. And that's because it takes a little bit of time. You've got to put some effort and some love into it. But what you get out of it is this very decadent dessert, this rich mousse that's worth every bit of effort that you put into it. Now, we're not actually doing much cooking today, but what we are going to do is utilize the Yoder Smokers YS640 Pellet Grill to cold smoke our chocolate before we make the mousse. So I'll start by hitting the on switch here, which just runs the fans, doesn't create any heat. Next, you want to slide in the amazing tube smoker filled with your favorite kind of pellets. We've got some cherry pellets today. I'm going to hit that with the torch to get these lit. We're lighting this before we get the chocolate on here because we really don't want to melt that chocolate. We let it burn back for just about 30 seconds and then blow it out. All right, now we're gonna add our frog mat to the grill. This is just a silicone coated thread, so nothing's gonna stick, nothing's gonna fall through. And I'm gonna add a pound of dark chocolate chips. Spread these out and keep them away from that smoke tube so any bit of heat that's coming off of it won't affect it. All right, close this guy up. Now with that fan running, it's pushing clean smoke through the chamber the entire time so nothing gets stagnant and it doesn't get too smoky or acrid or bitter or anything like that. And you'll see in about the first minute, it really cleans up so you get this nice thin blue smoke. This chocolate's been cold smoking for an hour and a half now, which is plenty of time, so we're gonna get it off the smoker. Now that chocolate's off the smoker, we're gonna get into the process of making the mousse. First, we're gonna put the chocolate with some butter in a double boiler and gently melt that stuff down. Next, we need to separate out some eggs because we're separating the yolks from the whites to whip up in a couple different ways. You'll see when we get there. So here's the setup for melting the chocolate down. You've got a bowl over a pot of water. You want to make sure the water is not touching the bowl itself, and that water should be gently simmering. I'm going to add to that 2 sticks or 8 ounces of unsalted butter. And then we'll add the pound of smoked chocolate. Now we're separating the eggs, and I'm gonna need 7 yolks, but 11 whites total. So we'll start with these 7. We're gonna separate these out. I just like to drop the whites right there into the mixing bowl that we're gonna use. I'm just gonna give this a little stir to make sure everything keeps moving along here. We're gonna keep melting these down until everything's smooth. So as soon as the chocolate is smooth, you can go ahead and remove it from the double boiler. And I'm just gonna set that aside for now while we work on the whites. Just load our egg whites right in here, all 11 of them, into the bowl with the whisk attachment. We're gonna beat this over high speed until we start to form some peaks. Now when you get to the point where you're starting to see streaks behind the whisk here, you can turn this off. And what we're gonna do now is start to add the sugar. Now this should be at kind of a soft peak, so it doesn't stand right up. Sorry, let me show you one more time here. It's getting there. We're maybe just past soft. But we're going for is a firm peak, but we've got to get some sugar in there at this point. So I'm gonna get this started and just slowly sprinkle in 2.5 ounces of white sugar. I'm just gonna kick this back up until we reach stiff peaks. Pretty close. We could go just a touch farther. But that's pretty close to what we're looking for. It should stand straight up. All right, that's exactly where we need to be. So let's move back to the chocolate. This chocolate has cooled just slightly over the last 5 minutes. What I'm gonna do now is start to add these egg yolks, just one at a time, whisking them into the chocolate. This is gonna add some real richness to the mouthfeel. Two at a time this time. All right, fully incorporated. Next, we're gonna add what's essentially our simple meringue here to the chocolate mixture, starting with just about a quarter of it. And I'm switching from the whisk over to the spatula, and we're just gonna gently fold this in. So you are gonna start to deflate that meringue a bit as you fold it in here. And that's fine, but what it's doing is adding some structure to the chocolate itself. So this adds some airiness to the mousse, which we'll continue to do as we add the rest of the meringue and then finish with a whipped cream. You better be ready for a hand and forearm workout when you start this recipe. It gets a little bit physical. We see that most of that white is incorporated. I'm gonna add the last little bit here. And we're gonna fold this until we don't see meringue any longer. Just a few last streaks we're working out there. But man, look how that's just changed the texture. So fluffy. All right, let's move on to the whipped cream. I've cleaned out the bowl. I'm gonna add to it 1 cup of heavy cream. We'll save the rest of it for whipped cream later on. Again, high speed. All right, so fully whipped, and we're going straight in with the chocolate and the meringue to complete our mousse. Once again, just folding until those streaks are gone. Not only does that whipped cream add even more airiness to this, but a really rich texture. A little more creaminess that you don't get from meringue alone. And that is just about perfect. Let's see how it tastes. Man, it's decadent. It just melts in your mouth, spreads all throughout there. So rich, and just a hint of smoke, just the right amount. Now the cleanest way to do this is to put it into a piping bag and then pipe it into these half-cup servings. I'm being a little bit lazy today. This recipe will yield about 20 of these little cups, and this is a good serving size because of how rich it is, which means you can feed 20 of your closest friends on this one recipe, or 10 of them and have some leftovers. Now I'm gonna go throw these cups in the fridge while we make a whipped cream to finish it all off. All right, so cleaned out the bowl once again. We're gonna add 2 cups this time of heavy cream. But this part, you don't have to worry about measurements so much. You can just kind of do this to taste. We'll look to bring this up to like soft peaks before we start to add some sugar for flavor. So now I've just turned the speed down. We're gonna start adding some sugar in here. And we'll keep it going slow so that we don't whip this too far. Now would also be a nice time to add some vanilla if you'd like, or today what I'm gonna do, maybe about a teaspoon of bourbon. That's pretty nice. And we'll just top each one of these off with a dollop of whipped cream. And again, you want to get out the piping bag, you can get a little bit more artsy rather than my rustic approach today. Now for a garnish, you could sprinkle a little bit of chocolate chips or chocolate shavings on top. That's always good. If you're presenting this, say at Christmas time or something, some crushed candy cane, really nice, just a little bit of peppermint, and I think that's what we're gonna do today. Very, very nice. There's a contrast in texture between that whipped cream and the mousse. It's really beautiful, and especially if you let that mousse actually set up in the fridge for a while before you serve it. The contrast in the texture is a really cool thing. Obviously the flavors are fantastic. It's rich. Like I said before, it's decadent. It's perfect for holidays or big gatherings. I hope you guys will give it a try at home and let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out atbbq.com for the products featured in today's video. If you enjoy the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to thesauce.atbbq.com. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.